blames him. One of his monitors is on the thing. Were those his monitors? Was he the tech guy?
Is it? We've hypothesized in the past that Scoggins wasn't doing the job that he was doing during the test scene was because the skeleton crew, the person who should have been doing it, wasn't there, so he was just kind of filling in. But Carter calls them his monitors, like Scoggins' monitors, so maybe that is his role. He's the engineer for the place and also the guy who runs the computers during the lab sequence.
This happens a lot in these types of movies, but I love that Scoggins just becomes the exposition guy for anything involving science or engineering. But it also means that Scoggins he's simultaneously like the IT guy. Apparently he built the fences. Like he wears a lot of scientific hats for this complex. He built it single-handedly too. He knows everything off the top of his head.
Like, what do the other 30 people do at this place? Because no one knows the secrets about the sharks. Scoggins does everything. One guy rides the shark. Are there 3 shark riders? Is there 3 tower people? Like, what's the...
Yeah.
There's one Scoggins and triple everything else. And they all work in the kitchen. That kitchen's huge.
So this is just like Jurassic Park, man. They put too much on IT.
Yeah. Those are your problems.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Scogs. He's about to eat it soon, too.
Well,
literally,
else is about to be him.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
So, Carter's shoelaces are untied in this scene. I know that Tom Jane has a history of not wearing shoes in real life, kind of notorious for that. Is this his stance against that? He's like, I'm going to wear shoes but not do them up. Does this explain why he's tripping all the time? Why are his shoelaces undone? Why do I care?
Well, wow.
when he's
That's a political statement. It's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
I love how he has a history of not wearing shoes.
I had no idea about this, but previous guest, I think it was Aaron Neworth, came on and just kept on riffing on Tom Jane not wearing shoes. So
he goes into convenience stores. And they're like, you can't buy it, man.
Is that why he becomes the Punisher? Because there's no shoes, no service.
Yes, he just starts blowing the places up.
He's just auditioning for Die Hard the whole time.
Oh man.
Shoot the glass.
What a weird like guy that it seemed like studios kept trying every once in a while. Like, no, listen, hear us out. Leading man, Thomas Jane. And audiences kept saying no.
He's done a good job with like becoming the supporting, like 1922. He was solid in, and then what? The Expanse. Like, he's a really good character actor. Do you think they were just trying to like? I feel like a lot of actors go through that. They try to make them the stars for a few years, and then they just find a nice career character acting, kind of doing what they want.
And he was, like he's great in Boogie Nights as Todd.
Yeah.
And,
I like him in The Mist.
Like, yeah,
but there
was a while where it was like, I mean, because he's got the look, and they're like, well,
he's got the jewel.
He's action star.
He got usurped by Aaron Eckhart, because the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, poor man's Aaron Eckhart.
But he got 3 Golden Globe nominations for Hung, so he can't have been terrible. I'd never watched Hung.
For what's Hung?
Hung,
the HBO show where he's a gigolo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because apparently he has a big penis in it. I assume.
And he has big balls, brass balls in this one.
Is that why he got the Golden Globe nominations for?
Maybe didn't win there.
Yeah, he got Best Dong nomination.
That was a character. That wasn't a category in the aughts.
Yeah, weird times.
Best hog.
Oh God! Like Judi Dench comes out and like hands out.
John Hamm wins it again.
The best hog goes to.
Oh God! Oh.
I've never tried to do Judi Dench before.
Nailed it, man. That was great. It's better than my Michael Caine, that's for sure. Final thoughts about this scene before we get out of here?
Barely touched the scene.
R.I.P. Skoggs.
He's not dead yet, but yeah, give it time.
And one more thing about Michael Rappaport. We were talking about like how busy he was. This came out in 99, right? The next year he was in 8 movies.
Wow.
Yeah, he had that Deep Blue Sea, that Heat. Everyone saw him in this. Oh, I've got to cast that Scoggins.
You know what? I think he was just extremely smart. He knew that his window was small. Yep. He's like, I need to make money.
Yep, and now he's just a podcaster. So.
And now, well, he made a Tribe Called Quest documentary. So
which I've heard is good.
Yeah, so I feel like he recognized, like, look, I'm not leading man material. I'm never going to get top billing. Just make a bunch of money so I can do what I want.
Yeah.
Which 100% respect for that.
It's funny you say that because on the Dinner for Five, it was him and Saffron Burrows talking to Jon Favreau, and he's like, this movie isn't about me. He's like, these big movies just pay well. And so he's like, I go to these sets, and I know it's not about me, so I just do what they tell me to do, and I make my money. So, and she also said that he used to blast his music at 3 a.m. and wake her up, and then she'd have to like go bang on his door and tell him to stop playing music so loud.
Another thing that I actually legitimately really like in this movie is that none of the characters are dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I was expecting that Skoggs was going to be the, he was going to screw everything up. Like, oh, Skoggs left the gate open and the sharks got out, or Skoggs screwed something out. But, like, Skoggs is really smart.
Skogged it up.
Like,
yeah.
Skoggs is smart. Carter's really good. I mean, even the evil lady, I mean, she's smart. I mean, LL, he's crafty when he needs to be.
Yeah, they're all competent characters. They're just stuck in a difficult situation.
I was going into this, I was expecting, God, I know that I'm going to come up with like 20 examples once we end this, but I was expecting like a lot of like goofy, like, oh no, I screwed it up or something.
Oh, like T.J. Miller in Unstoppable and Ethan Suplee at the start of that, where they're the guys who let the train get going. Just because they screw up with that. That's my go-to for dumb characters in action films.
Oh, you know who? they're not in every Fast and Furious, but those two guys who like just banter back and forth, and they like they like blow up that bathroom and it gets covered with crap. Like I was expecting like those two. I'm just like, oh Christ, is this guy just gonna be like the dumb comic relief? But no, he was smart and he was a solid dude. Did his best.
Even when McAllister goes off on her own, which is a terrible thing to do in horror, she goes to get her research. She doesn't just go, hello, is anybody there? Like, she doesn't really think a shark's going to be waiting for her.
I mean, she does in some way have a point. I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, you might as well have this be a for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with her.
It's good research. It's like curing Alzheimer's. It's worth going for.
Yeah, I mean, look, you went this far, go back for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Preacher was wrong there, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
And she was being nice to him. She called him Preach, not Preacher.
But he just dismisses them as being some numbers. That really frustrated me, because like numbers are everything. Everything is made with numbers. Everything.
My final thought for this is, we've obviously seen that Skoggs has a lot of double duty. Is he actually a preacher, and then he's also the chef?
He's like the chaplain of Aquatica, kind of thing?
He's the, Aquatica chaplain. And
otherwise it's weird to get a nickname of preacher.
Well, I mean,
just in general.
He kind of has sassy conversations with God, and he wears a cross. So
End
is
of
it
list.
it's like, well, Sunday service is over, I gotta get started on lunch.
He definitely does that. He does a nice sunrise service with the sun coming up, and whoever wants to go comes.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Set up some chairs, make some biscuits.
As you said, I do not know why they need the rest of this crew. It seems like they need 6 people to run this whole place.
You need people to dance on boats.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been fine if it wasn't for all those sharks. These 6 people would have handled this all just fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we do have a deleted scene in this chapter as well, although practically nothing happens in it. It's the last deleted scene of the film. It's about 45 seconds long, and it's just Carter and Scoggins being scared. And Carter saying, can you swim 150 feet? And Scoggins saying, no. And that's the scene.
I mean, once again, this is why I enjoy Scott. He's like 60 seconds without air. No. And I'm like, I couldn't either.
Yeah.
And Carter's like, come on, you can do it. And Scoggins like, no, I can barely swim. No.
It is somewhat remarkable in that it's kind of a very good masculinity. Like, especially for movies of this era, like you would expect me like, no, don't be a pussy. Come on, you're going to do it. And he's like, okay, you just stay here and I'll take care of him. I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's nice of him.
Right. You get the same thing with when Carter sees Jim and he's scared. Like, in a Bond film, he would have just like pushed him aside and kept on going. But it's like he's terrified. This isn't what he was expecting to find.
Indiana Jones or James Bond, they'd be like, come on, we're going to dive underwater for 2 minutes. Now, like, no, I can't do that. So I do appreciate that in some ways this movie has some positive masculinity to extort.
Wow. Man, you just added another layer. This has been revelatory for me.
Rob, you got any final thoughts for the film?
Man, not as good as that. No.
We can edit it around into the other order if you like, so that that follows you.
I just, I'm sorry, I was a little distracted looking at the SoundCloud, listening to Toilet on Me. But I don't have any other thoughts. It's just a fun movie, passes the cable test, and just a good time. Just a really good time of sharks and death and petty sharks. Petty smart sharks.
I've just got flush. Ah!
Oh,
just going in my head now. But
there we go.
Flush Gordon?
Flush Gordon. Flush.
By Cistern of a Down.
Oh, man. Oh, goodness.
Okay. Mark, any more thoughts on this scene?
I'm good.
Okay, cool. Rob, Duff, where can people find you?
We're kind of out of the minute by minute world now. After we finished Tombstone and Forrest Gump and Titanic, so
you've done your time. Yeah,
done our time, man. And now we're doing a podcast where we just talk about a group of movies that we sort of theme in a different way. So we recently did erotic thrillers and monster rehashes of the 90s. We're doing rock docs right now, but you can listen to that over at afreepodcast.com. We have our list of all the movies we've talked about.
Yep, what he said.
I can recommend it. It's a good listen. It's a very entertaining show.
Thank you.
I've seen most of the films you covered. I haven't seen all of them, but Mark, they do occasionally cover a Pauly Shore film, so you'll be on board.
Yes.
That's on Patreon, so you gotta
shell out the $2
for son-in-law.
I made Jay join me on the Movies, Films, and Flicks podcast to discuss Encino Man and how industrious they were to get a giant block of ice out of a hole by using a swing set and a rider mower, and then into a garage on top of sawhorses. I mean, that thing's like 1,000 pounds, and these two high school kids are able to industriously take it out of the hole and put it up in a garage. Also, Stoney has a very sad life.
It remains the only Pauly Shore film I've seen. But yeah, we hypothesized that Pauly Shore, he was like a Mary Poppins character who would take people under his wing and
teaches them life lessons.
Exactly, really he'd pick someone new each year, and that year he'd pick Sean Astin, and next year he'd pick somebody else.
I have to revisit Encino Man with that in mind, because I like this.
I like that too.
It's called California Man in this country.
And
Encino doesn't mean anything.
Honestly, to expand on this, he kind of does the same thing in Son-in-Law.
I'll never know.
He kind of shows up and teaches lessons about what's really important.
Yep.
And he has another sad life, too. He's like, I grew up in Vegas. No one ever gave me attention, so I just hung out on computers.
Yep, which is usually how it happens.
Yeah, he was just a lonely child of the 90s. Feral kid. Divorce.
Feral kid.
So, Mark, where can people find more of your stuff?
You can, let's see. You can go to Movies, Films, and Flicks, moviesfilmsandflx.com. You can listen to the podcast or the website. I just unleashed the Con Air seating chart. That was pretty popular. That the nucleus of that came from. Yeah.
You got to pick up from AV Club on that.
Yeah. They're fans of mine. Like, they've shared my, It Follow stuff, the Blue Sea stuff. I did, a horror tournament. We're buds. So they, it's cool. They share a lot of, they're neat. So, yeah, I did the Con Air seating chart. That came about here. We had, Nick DeSemblin from Empire Magazine on, and he started talking about Con Air seating chart. So I went and figured it out, and then I had some of the actors help me with it. So it's the perfect awesome Con Air seating chart. And then you can listen to the pod. We're still number 1 in Gambia. We were number 2 in Vietnam recently, so that was cool.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm in the weird. I've been number 1 in Namibia, Chile, 3 in Ireland. I have 25 countries. I've been in a weird top 5. It's kind of neat. And then I work for Rotten Tomatoes, so you can read my stuff, watch verse videos on YouTube, listen to Rotten Tomatoes is Wrong, the podcast. So I work on that. I think, what do we got? Rise of Skywalker's coming up, and then Batman v Superman. And then I write for the Film Theorists. So I got an Aquaman video and a Fast and Furious video. Then you can check out the other ones I did. I debunked Jason teleporting for Film Theorists. So
when do you sleep?
I never sleep. It's awesome. Well, I used to work in the film industry, and I did 15 hours a day, with driving. So now I get to hang out at home and write. So it's nice. I get to hang out with my cats and wife, and it's you don't sleep, but at least you're not standing around drinking coffee on some set being grumpy.
Yeah.
So now I can just be home and grumpy.
True.
But yeah, so check those out. And dude, I'm glad you saw that Con Air thing. That got some good traction.